righteous Sangha, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tăng thinh, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh, tinh chuyên diệu pháp luân giáo đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát từ ly khổ đắc lạc, tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Namo Sadanto Suche Doye Alahadi Samyao Sanputo Xie. Namo Tạc Đạc Thà Tô Già Đà Gia Alahadi Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma, 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng shen wei miao fa bai jian 万劫难遭遇，我今见我的手持，愿解如来真实义。O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Huineng, Venerable Shenhua, Venerable left-home people, and all good no advisors, Emituofo. 诸佛菩萨、六祖、师父、上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa lục tổ, hòa thượng Tiên Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. Today is the 21st of March 2021. We are gathered here in Wei Mountain Temple to start discussing the last chapter of the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, chapter 10. What is it about? Final instructions. Okay, final instructions that the great patriarch gave to his disciples, and I'm pretty sure that is also for us as well. So let's dive into it and study his teachings. Slide number 3, Sutra text. One day the Master summoned his disciples, 法海, 至诚, 法达, 神会, 至常, 至通, 至彻, 至道, 法真, and 法如, and said to them, You are not like other people.
师一日唤门人，法海、至诚、法达、神会、至常、至通、至彻、至道、法真、法如等，曰：汝等不同于人。
All right. Commentary slide number 4. The Master called in his great 10 disciples, 10 great disciples. Shakyamuni Buddha also had 10 great disciples as well. Here, these are room-entering disciples, okay, meaning that they are allowed to enter his room. That's what it means. Unless you're allowed to, you may not enter the patriarch's room, the teacher's room. Okay? Why not? Music man.
There's too many people at the temple. You said there was thousands of people at Master Sixth Patriarch's temple, and so if they wanted to ask Sixth Patriarch a question, they'd have to ask the room entering disciples, and they would relay the message.
So hierarchical. Yes, what we call feudalistic mindset. Anyone else? No one? You give up already? Yes, orange.
Master, could it be that he can only allow the room entering disciples who've reached a certain high level of purity?
High level people?
High level of purity?
High level what?
Purity?
High level purity, why purity? The patriarch discriminates?
Yes, no, I don't know.
So only for pure people, according to Miss Orange.
No. I don't
Anyone
really-
else? You notice that, haven't you? Microphone, people. They all have their quirks. Some go like this, some go like this, some will. That's called flexibility. You have to adapt to each person. Yes.
Master, when you work for corporate, not everyone get access to the presidents or vice president. Only a certain people that can do that. That can take
Privileges,
direct order.
corporate privileges, according to this gentleman. Government privileges. Government clearance, if you will. Okay? Anyone else? Why is there such distinction between room entering disciples versus non-room entering disciples? Why is there such discrimination? I thought the Dharma is non-discriminatory. The Chinese are so discriminating. Yes?
It could be because these 10 disciples were really good. So everybody else, if they had a question, those 10 guys or 10 disciples could teach them. But those 10 disciples needed more instructions. So then they go to the master and get their instructions because they can teach everybody else. And only the master can teach those 10 disciples because they're above the level that can be taught by anybody else that's there. That's just a thought.
Clearly, you're not a room entering disciple. Anyone else? You give up? Too bad he's not here. We can't ask him either. According to the commentary, he received Dharma transmission, whoopee. Permitted to enter the room, whoopee. So what? Who hasn't received the Dharma transmission? Any of you hasn't received the Dharma transmission? See, I'm preparing these slides and then now I change my mind. And what's the big deal? Who hasn't received the Dharma transmission? Who hasn't? We all received Dharma transmission, haven't we? You just don't know it yet. Do you realize that? You all have received Dharma transmission. You just don't know what it is yet, that's all. Isn't that wonderful? You have received Dharma transmission. Don't believe the slide. They're not the only ones. Okay? Okay? Permitted to enter the room. Well, that's the key. They're permitted to enter the room. Why? 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 They're permitted to enter his room. Why?
Lục tổ là có giao phó 10 người để có chuẩn trách nhiệm thôi. Sở dư vô trỏng là giao phó cái trách nhiệm chứ không có gì hết trơn thầy ơi.
Okay.
She said that because the sixth patriarch delegate the responsibility to these 10 disciples.
Absolutely. These great 10 disciples are competent disciples he chose to teach and assign tasks, important tasks to them. That's correct. But why need to be permitted to enter the room? Oh, sorry. I was hopeful for a while. She was about to whisper me the solution, the answer. Yes? Anyone else? Yes, Blue.
I guess it's kind of along the lines of what Andrea said. I'm thinking that at some level, when you're with the master in that setting, you are learning from the master at a level that is beyond words.
Very good. Excellent. Okay? What does the master do, in his room? Anyone else? What do you think he does in his room? Anyone? Hey, kimchi girl, what do you think the Master Hui Nang does in his room? I have no idea. All the training, all these years, I have no idea. Huh? What does he do? What do you think? Anyone? Come on. Use your imagination. Huh? Yes.
Well, one time you said that you didn't, I think it was when, I forgot, someone kind of just barged into his room. It was earlier.
And he was doing what?
You said he was clipping his nails. He could have been clipping his nails.
He was clipping his nails. Oh. Don't you knock, huh? You guys are so bad. Okay. Go for it. I hope there's some professional answer for a change.
Dạ thưa thầy, con nghĩ thì
Let's not
thường
go
thường
for it.
lục tổ là thiền sư thì ở trong phòng ngồi thiền.
So she's meditating in the room. Anyone else? She's my cook, so I can't criticize her. There's some people I would not touch. The rest of you are not off limits. Yes?
I would think it wouldn't matter what the good knowing advisor is doing. I think anything he or she does is teaching.
Absolutely. Are you Buddhist? Oh, it's just... Wait a minute. How come you understand about Buddhist things? Yes, go for it. They changed their mind. Okay, never mind. Did go first, back out?
Alo.
Yes.
A Di Đà Phật, con có nghe vài đệ tử của Hòa thượng Niên Hóa kể lại là trong phòng ngài thì ngài thường hóa thân để giúp đỡ những cái chúng sanh cõi khác hay sao, có khi thì vào thấy ngài là hóa thân của Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật, có khi vào thì thấy ngài hóa thân của Bồ Đề Đạt Ma và những hóa thân khác thì chắc là ngài thường.
Really?
Yeah.
Who said so?
He's a disciple. Tell story.
Do you have a name?
Yeah, and I think I hear a couple of them talk about that.
Names,
very
please.
magical. Yeah.
Names.
Not right now, but I can find out. Yeah, maybe some of his early attendants told story that. Ngài thường giúp đỡ những
I'm not telling you. Oh, but it's not him. He's talking. It's someone else. Okay. Yes.
Emituofo. Master, I remember you said that before that he allowed his disciple to enter his room because the Patriarch wants to teach his disciples by give them an opportunity to observe what is the daily life of a patriarch look like.
She's also from San Diego. Same line of reasoning. Very good. Anyone else? Yes, Kevin Durant. You're a basketball player then, you know.
Thầy con nhớ là thầy giảng là thầy nói là thầy cho cái người đó vô là tại vì khi đó ngay cái lúc đó là người đó có câu hỏi là cần phải giải quyết ngay khi đó, không có đợi được.
Excellent. I'm glad you're back. These people, they've been here too long. They say, Master, here you go again. Careful, he's going to chop your head off. Anyone else? Very good. Okay, you got the idea. Okay, excellent. Okay. There's a few important reasons why they're called room-entering disciples. What she just said in Vietnamese is that these people can barge in. Basically, can barge in. Okay? And basically, knock, and then they walk in. Don't even have to ask for an answer, permission. Because they're permitted to enter already. Is that clear? They call room-entering disciples because they're permitted to enter, meaning that they can enter anytime. Okay? It's because, a very important reason, from training purposes, you have a problem that it cannot wait. Okay? And it has to be, you need to get help immediately. Okay? So these people have what you might call access, special access. Privileged people have special access. So far, so good? And number two reasons is that absolutely what the master does in his room is not the same thing as he does outside. All right? Meaning that what does he do inside his room? I've never been there. Okay? So I can only imagine. Let me tell you what Master Shehua does according to someone who says he goes to his room and then he somehow, you look at him, he appears to be like Wanyin Bodhisattva, Shakyamuni Buddha, Bodhidharma, and so forth, according to the legend from his disciples, don't believe that. That's why I wanted names. Yes. Orange, purple.
Is this related to male disciples or only nuns as well?
You asked the wrong person. You know what the answer is going to be. Men only, men's club. Oops. Women's too sometimes. Okay. Are these 10? Are they any of them female? By the way, does anyone know? Huh? Okay. I believe this is just me, because I can't answer for the master. In my wildest imagination, I don't think he would discriminate between men and women. Why not? Yes.
From his teaching, he doesn't discriminate from anything. Everything is pretty much non-dual to him. So male and female would also be non-dual to him.
Basically, the room-entering disciples are enlightened. Can you agree with that? My master never allowed me to enter this room, so I'm only speaking from conjectures. But the room-entering disciples have special access because they are enlightened. Once you become enlightened, there's no more discrimination between men and women. Before that, you should. After that, there's no point. Okay? Before that, you should, because it helps your cultivation. After that, it's useless. Okay? So don't say that, that you are equal to men. Please. Please. There's no such a thing. Okay? This equality is, you demand equality because you're weak. All right? I'm sorry, I'm blunt. Because if you're equal, you don't need to demand anything. They have to give it to you. Okay? So the general answer to the question is, of course, I feel that there's no discrimination whether it's a man or woman. If there are room-entering disciples, then I imagine that there should be, because in his temple at Nanhua temple, he built a temple for the nuns in the grounds. So he has nun disciples being trained, being taught. So I can imagine that they're also room-entering disciples. Because I heard that one of the stories that one of the nuns was so advanced that he actually helped him teach the monks. Okay, so I don't think there's any discrimination. All right, going back to the point where so you have these people have special access. They need help. They cannot wait. The iron is hot. It has to be stricken right away. We strike right away. Yes, you too.
Tian Guo asks, Master, do you have room-entering disciples too?
In the future, I promise I will. Okay? Somehow she makes it so personal, this Tian Guo thing. Yeah. in the future, when we become a cult, if I don't become enlightened, okay, we'll become a cult, and then we have room entering disciples who are cultists. And they're all males only. True to my nature. Where were we? She has a way of distracting me. Okay, so you have these people who need help immediately. That cannot wait. They cannot, make an appointment and stand in line. They just have to barge in and say, "Listen, I have this problem. It's a matter of life and death." Okay, because that's the kind of problems they're faced with. So they need to have special access to deal with these types of problems. Number two, also from a teaching perspective, okay, what he does inside his room is not the same as in public. Does it make sense? Inside his room, he probably has AirPods Max. Okay? Probably LPs, vinyls. No MP3s, please. AirPod Max, because you cannot let people think you're listening to music. You get my drift, okay? The point is that what he does inside his room is not the same thing he does in public. So that, just like my master, and I heard that story before when I was a novice, that he would allow, like when occasionally he would call some of the kids or the monks to sleep overnight with him in his apartment in Long Beach Monastery. He would, I was there, and they used to tell me, Great Master YongHua used to call me in and talk to me, these novices, and he called me in and talked to me, and he told, and I slept over at his apartment. Okay, so I didn't understand back then what it meant. Okay, but now I understand that what he does there, what he did there, is to help these people, teach them a Dharma that cannot be taught in public. Okay? It's only for them in particular, and no one else can hear it, if you will. Okay? So it's secret transmission, number one. Number two, also, you have a chance to observe what he does in his natural habitat, not just for public display. Okay? And when the Buddha was alive, Shakyamuni Buddha was alive, okay, he spoke Dharma by his daily activities. That's what he used to say. Okay, so his great disciples would follow him everywhere, and that's before they had monasteries and temples and walls and buildings and so forth. He had thousands of people following him everywhere and doing everything he did. So everything he did was more than just speaking of Dharma, but these people who were close to Shakyamuni Buddha got to observe what he did. So, for example, in the Sutra started by he got up in the morning, washed his face, brushed his teeth, and then went to beg for food, came back, washed his feet, crossed his leg, ate the food, and then it's done. And then his great disciple said, the Buddha just finished speaking Dharma by his daily activities. Now on top of it, he decided to emit light to explain that Dharma in more details for us, okay? For lower level people. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in our world, the Dharma is transmitted by sound, but actually the highest level of teaching is by being, by doing, by being yourself. No words need to be spoken. You teach by example. You teach by being yourself. So far, so good? All right? So that's why this tradition of room-entering disciples, where disciple can be taught differently. So who are these people? These 10 disciples, great disciples, are number one, Fa Hai, okay, who transcribed the sutra, edited the sutra, and he happened to be number one. That's a good thing. Number two, Chu Cheng, okay, he's a reformed Dharma thief. So he's a disciple of Master Sheng Xiu, I believe. And Sheng Xiu, he's a number one disciple of Master Sheng Xiu, who sent him over to Master Huineng to steal the Dharma from him. Told him to go, learn everything, and then come back and tell me everything. Report to me everything, every single word. Every single thing you witnessed, you watched, you learned, you heard, you were taught. So Chu Cheng came, and Master Huineng recognized him as a spy immediately, okay, and but taught him anyway. And he then became the disciple of Master Huineng. Fa Da is the monk who read the Lotus Sutra 3,000 times, and yet he didn't understand the depth of the Lotus Sutra. Okay, and the Master Huineng, who only probably heard about the Lotus Sutra for the second time only, explained to him what it meant. Okay. Sheng Hui is a precocious 13-year-old, smart aleck, you will. He later became, I think, he founded the some kind of Chan school. Heze, thank you. Heze, pretty impressive. He founded a school, and so for a young kid to be able to go in there and learn from the great master and be permitted to enter the room at will is pretty impressive. So it shows that his level of wisdom is pretty remarkable, and also evidenced by the fact he founded a school, a school that lasted for 150 years. That's pretty impressive. Okay. So that's from this kid here, stuck around Master Huineng for a long time. So it's pretty impressive. Number 5, commentary, Chu Chang. and he's a what is it? He's a resolute child. He saw he's seeing the original mind, the substance. I don't remember Chu Chang. Anyone remembers Chu Chang? Okay. Again, another child so he's able to teach these kids as well. Pretty impressive. Chu Tong, he read the Lankavatara, which is the Chan Sutra that Master Bodhidharma brought from India to China. He read it 1,000 times. He asked about the 3 bodies and the 4 wisdoms, okay? And he also, so he's a Chan expert as well, okay? Chu Che is the assassin. How interesting. Does it ring a bell? This guy was very fast. He was a general in a prior life, and then he followed the 5th patriarch. He's looking for more challenges, so he changed profession, became a monk, and then still practices kung fu. So when they needed someone to chase after the 6th patriarch to kill him, get back the bow and the rope from the 5th patriarch, he was the first one to get to the 6th patriarch, who then taught him, and he later had to run away, and he later was able to come back to be with Master Huineng. All right? How interesting. So he also has Kung Fu martial artists as well. And then you have Chu Tao, okay? Is it a woman or a man? Okay. Investigated the Nirvana Sutra for 10 years and is asking about production extinction, which is a concept that most people, most scholars would not be able to explain to you. And of course, that's why he could read this for 10 years or 20 years. He still will not be able to understand it. But Master Huineng was able to help this person. Fa Zhen, okay. I don't know who Fa Zhen is. Fa Ru, I don't know who Fa Ru is. But there are more, not just 10. 10 names were mentioned, but only because of the editing from Fa Hai. Fa Hai recognized those colorful people. We didn't recognize the important people like Xing Sư, Huai Zhang, and so forth. Those are later the teachers of the great patriarchs in the Chinese Chan school. Okay, those are they beget the later great teachers like Bai Chang, like Huang Bo, and so forth. Ma Zu, that's from under the Xing Sư and Huai Zhang and so forth. Okay, so it shows you right there the different levels of room entering disciples. Okay, and what it means is that the Master's Dharma is so vast, so multidimensional, that his disciples, his room-entering disciples could not understand everything. So they basically specialize in different types of dharmas. Okay? No one could. Just like my master Shenhua. Okay? His disciples, some would specialize in Chan. He says, that's all I want to do, learn Chan. Some would specialize in repentances. Some would specialize in recitation. Okay? Some specialize mantras, tantras, and so forth. Okay, and because my master is so, his Dharma is so vast that even for one field, the guy, for example, who likes to specialize in Chan still doesn't understand the extent of Master Hsien Hua's Chan, let alone try to understand other disciplines, other schools. That's how deep Master Hsien Hua's Dharma is. Okay? In particular, there's one thing in Master Hsien Hua's Dharma, one Dharma that is clearly not understood at all. That is the Pure Land Dharma door. He hardly explained it at all in his teachings. You notice that. You go through his Dharma, Master Hsien Hua's teachings, it's very rare to hear him mention the Pure Land Dharma door. You have to catch it, all over. And just one sentence here and there, and that's it. Okay? So he didn't really transmit the Pure Land Dharma door to them at all. Maybe there were people who were able to understand that. Okay? That's why there's no point in talking about it. Questions or comments? Okay. 6, Sutra text. After my passage into extinction, you should each be a master in a different direction. I will now teach you how to explain the Dharma without deviating from the tradition of our school.
吾灭度后，各为一方师。吾今教汝说法，不失本宗旨。
7, commentary. He says, after I die, he says, 吾灭度后, 灭 is to extinguish, to die, to disappear. Okay? Disappear out of your life, from this world. Tu, okay? Tu is, I don't know, go somewhere. Yes? Okay. So after I die, I go somewhere. Okay, and somehow it transmitted as Mie Tu, passage into extinction. Mm-hmm. And that's a very polite Chinese way of saying that he entered nirvana, which is nonsense. No such thing as these bodhisattvas going to nirvana. Okay? But for literary reasons, the Chinese like to say Mie Tu. Okay? But people who in the know would say, what kind of nonsense are you Chinese people talking about? Why does he have to enter nirvana? Have to enter extinction? Huh? Why not? Just because it sounds nice, you don't have to agree with it. Why? Why would he enter extinction? My passage into extinction, meaning after I enter nirvana, which means after I die. Okay? In the Pure Land, I might say, after I go to the Pure Land. Okay? Anyone? Why wouldn't he enter nirvana? Why not? It makes sense for you to say, I go to the Pure Land. Yes. After I die, I go to the Pure Land. I hope. Okay? Praise the Lord. I hope it's going to happen. However, to say that after my entering nirvana, for a person like Master Huineng and so forth, that's nonsense. It's too Chinese. Why not? Yes.
The lifetime of Buddha is extremely long. And so for him to for him in this lifetime, this to be his final lifetime, the chance of that is extremely, extremely low.
No. Nice try. Anyone else? The Chinese are so greedy. Okay? They say, I want to practice in order to enter nirvana. So what they're saying here, I think it's probably like Fahai or something. Okay? He said, after I enter nirvana. But if in modern day times, you could simply say after I die. In English, okay? Let's set up a new terminology. Okay? After I die, how's that? After I pass, after I say sayonara, okay? After I'm out of here, okay? But it's no need to say after I enter nirvana. Why not? He never left nirvana, folks. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? The sixth patriarch never left nirvana. Why does he need to enter nirvana? Right? Now, again, earlier I said, after I go to the Pure Land, because yes, you have to go to Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. Yes. And you have to get permission to go there. You don't just go there. Okay? Yeah. So that's why there's a distinction. That you enter nirvana, it's a different, totally different animal. All right? So be careful. So that's why from these people you can tell that the transcription of Master Fahai shows his level of understanding. He's too Chinese, if you will. Okay? All right. So literally speaking, is after my body is extinguished, me is my body extinguished, and I cross the sea of suffering. Du is to go somewhere. This particular du here in Chinese means that I cross over, I cross something. The sea of suffering. Du refers to the sea of suffering. Okay? Again, you see, he's not suffering. Why does he need to cross suffering? So any kind of suffering is non-existent for him. Why does he need to cross any suffering at all? Any body of sufferings at all, whether it's a sea, whether it's an ocean, or a river, or whatever, there's no need for that. See, that's why it's a Chinese way of saying that we should tell Fahai, cut it out, boy. You should each be a master in different direction. Okay. The Master says, for you present today, I have a mission for you. After I die, I speak plainly for you. This is how we would say it in modern days. Okay? After I die, I want you to go to a different direction, all over, different directions, 10 directions, meaning all over. Okay? Yifang here, okay, Yifang is, you choose one direction. You want to go anywhere? You want to go to Florida? No, don't go there. Texas. Okay, he says, go. You pick a place where you want to go. And you go there, and you will be in charge of that area. You take over. Is it too aggressive for you, Buddhist people? Basically, the order is that you pick a place. Yifang meaning any place. Any place you like. Tijuana, North Korea. Okay? You pick a place and you go there and you take over. Is it too aggressive? Yeah. Okay? Go ahead, Green.
Maybe I said take over, overwhelm.
Overwhelm? Yeah, take over. 各为一方师. Each one of you becomes a master of one direction, one place. Yifang here is not direction, but one place. Any direction. It also has a connotation, you choose anywhere, any direction, the 10 directions. Okay? East, west, north, south, southeast, southwest, and so forth, up and down. Okay? The 10 direction meaning any direction you like to go. And you become the master. You become, and you take charge of that area. So you go and take over a place. What we call in Republican terms, go invade. Okay? That's invade. That's what he says. I explained it to you in today's terms that that's exactly what he means. Okay? And again, the Chinese are very poetic. They say it in a very polite way, in a very subtle, somewhat abstract way. But basically it says, go take over. Go and occupy. Questions or comments? You agree or disagree? He doesn't say, by the way, that after I die, you take care of my temples, take care of my disciples. No, he says, you go and conquer. I didn't teach you for you to stay here and hide. I teach you and expect you to go and occupy. Agree or disagree? He's very aggressive. And the non-Buddhists would like to describe us as pacifistic, peace-loving people. We occupy. Chan people, we occupy. Pure Land people, we run away. Secret school people, we beat the heck out of the ghosts and the demons. All right? So it's beautiful, the instructions. Now I look at it and say, it's so beautiful. I will now teach you how to explain the Dharma without deviating from the tradition of our school, our Chan school. Okay? He's a Chan teacher. So he says, since you when you occupy, it's for the sake of not making money, building temples, getting patronage from the kings and queens, but you take over with what? Your teachings. We're not talking about hiring mercenaries and forming a militia to protect your area. No, he said he take over with your Dharma. You invade with your Dharma. All right? You go there and you speak the Dharma. That's how you occupy. Okay? When you go and occupying Dharma works because they instill fear and rules and regulations on the occupied territory. When we occupy in Mahayana, we teach you so that you decide to follow the rules. You decide to do good because it's to your benefit, not out of fear. That's a different kind of occupation. Occupying. A different kind of invasion, don't you think? Still invasion. Because what happened is that these people go to one area and they take over, meaning they chase away the enemy. What kind of enemies? Natural disasters, calamities. Sicknesses. Bad elements in the economy. And as a result, the property prices increase like crazy. All right? It's insane. And when you take over by speaking the Dharma, and I teach you how to speak Dharma, my style, my Dharma. Okay? Because what I taught you so far is for you. But now you need to learn how to speak Dharma for others. Yes. Blue.
I was curious about Master Shenhua. He was master of several different schools, and I imagine he had room-entering disciples, and eventually they were going to teach. How does that work? Do certain students have proclivities for one school or the other? Because clearly, you must be at a very high level to be able to do all 5 schools. How does that get determined?
I'm not sure. Could you repeat the question, please?
So,
Master
Shenhua was a teacher of, I think, 5 different schools.
Yes.
And eventually his students are to go and teach.
Yes.
I assume that a particular student would have a proclivity towards one of the schools. Is it possible that some are capable to learn more than one school and teach, or how does that work itself out that way?
It depends on each individual. Okay. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, but I don't know of anyone who's really teaching at all. So it is no parallel between the 6th Patriarch and Master Shenhua, unfortunately. Master Huineng specifically says, you go anywhere you like, whether it's back to your homeland, whether it's Russia and so forth, China and so forth, okay? He says, you pick a place where you like to go, okay? And I heard that the Eastern Europe has the cuisine is up and coming. Anyway, so you can go there if you like. So the point here is that Master Huineng specifically told his disciples to go and teach. Whereas Master Shenhua, from what I heard and what I've observed so far, really didn't do that. Okay? He really actually, when I was there, he said, I want you because they are the one who told me Because I was there and my master entered nirvana. And so, according to them, and so they said, don't worry, Master said, we are given clear instructions already. What are the clear instructions? One guy specifically says, my master told me to go and make people feel good about Mahayana. I said, okay, that sounds good to me. I had no idea what it meant. But in general, he says, especially for me, okay? He says, we are supposed to do three things in our generation. Translation, number one. Number two, education. And number three, training the next generation, which included me. Okay? So translation, so they did that. So and then they worried about education, so they did the university, the high schools and so forth, blah, blah, blah. And then the training people, which is, okay. But they weren't told to go outside of the walls. They weren't told to go and pick a direction and teach. Whereas, so the conditions are different. Here, the Venerable Huineng said, you go pick a spot and make your mark. Okay? And I will, because if you do that, I know you're capable of doing that. And number two, I will teach you how to speak the Dharma. My style. And let me remind you, my style is certain teaching. So far, so good. Did I say, wish my master did that to his disciples? I take it back. It's too critical. Strike this. Okay. Erase it. Right now. You didn't see this. But he says people, when you teach, there are certain skills and techniques that you need to know in order to be able to teach them. Let me explain to you, because what I taught you is between me and you only. Okay? You probably cannot understand how to deal with different kinds of personality, different kind of experience. So now, next, I want to tell you how to broaden your skill set. Next, 8 sutra text. First, bring up the 3 classes of Dharma doors, and then use the 36 pairs of opposites, so that whether coming or going, you remain in the Bodhi mandala.
须举3颗法门，动用36对，出没即菩提场。
All right. Number 9, commentary. First, bring up the 3 classes of Dharma doors and use 36 pairs of opposite. Okay? The 3 classes of Dharma doors will be explained later. He says 36 pairs of opposite, meaning that he's referring to duality of things, meaning that everything in this world has its opposite. Okay? Exists because it's opposite. Men exist because of women. So to discriminate against women would be nonsense. Okay? Because if you say, I prefer men over women, then you actually are criticizing yourself, because there's no men without women, and vice versa. All right? So, yes.
I was just going to say, it's really interesting that he starts talking about opposites right here. In the whole sutra, people have been asked him about opposites and polarity, and he's always responded with a non-duality, but here he actually goes into opposites. I think that's cool.
Yes, it's because these people are low level. That's why he has to give them a framework of explaining the Dharma. This is about debate now. He's talking about how when people ask you and you need to defend your position, this is how you do it. Okay, so he's basically training them how to debate and win these debates. Okay? So whether it's coming or going, whether you are, whether it's in your area or whether it's another person's area, okay, you remain in the Bodhi Mandala. You are still in the place of cultivation. Okay, you are. What does it mean to remain in Bodhi Mandala? Very important distinction here. This is why he's a great patriarch. Why do you say when you remain in Bodhi Mandala? This is so subtle. Okay, let me explain to you. He says, I teach you how to out-debate everyone. Because you use these techniques I teach you, they can't argue with it. They cannot out-debate you. And you will be a very strong position. However, okay, but you do it in the spirit of, in the Bodhi Mandala, in the spirit of cultivation, not in the spirit of winning or losing, not in the spirit of occupying or not occupying, okay? It's in the spirit of cultivation. You do that in order to cultivate. Because that's your job. Teaching is also cultivation. It's not about winning or losing. It's not about converting others. All right? So it's very subtle here. It's not for you. It's for these people. It says, I'm going to teach you how to out-debate them. You're going to teach you how to overwhelm them, but do it only in the spirit of cultivation. Not to win. Not because you're afraid to lose face. Not because you're afraid, worthy to be my disciple. Because you're afraid you are unable to effectively represent me, my Dharma. No, it's only in the spirit of cultivation. All right? It's beautiful. It's so subtle. But it falls on deaf ears today. Sutra text. While explaining all the dharmas, do not become separated from your self-nature. Should someone suddenly ask you about dharma, answer him with its opposite.
说一切法莫离自性，忽有人问如法，出语尽双。
Commentary on slide 11. He says, when you explain anything in this world you can think of, okay, do not become separated from your self-nature, okay? When you explain anything, okay, everything is connected to your self-nature, including you. Okay? And should someone suddenly ask you about Dharma, answer him with its opposite. So, and what he's effectively saying, and I speak from experience, that when you speak Dharma to people, there's no way for you to prepare for all the potential questions they're going to throw at you. Okay? Some people are very twisted, have twisted minds. And they're going to come up with things will ask you that you will be unprepared for. So you have one option. You limit the number of questions, limit the number, the length of time allowed for questions, so that they cannot ask you too many questions, difficult questions, okay? And so, but in contrast, instead of doing that and protecting your flank and covering up your weaknesses, I show you a way that will help you expand your understanding of the Dharma, of my Dharma, or the Dharma you're trying to teach. This certain Dharma here, certain teaching here. What you do is you answer him with its opposite. I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of time to explain this to you because you're not his disciples. That's why I need to elaborate more. Okay? But these people say, oh, yeah, that's it. I've been wondering how to explain it to these people, and now I understand how. Huh? And since it's impossible for you to anticipate or prepare for all the potential questions, like people would prepare for a speech or a question and answer event, okay, or town hall. You relax and you answer questions by using the opposite pair. Okay, he'll elaborate in pretty short. 12, sutta text. If you always answer with the opposite, both will be eliminated and nothing will be left, since each depends on the other for existence.
皆取对法，来去相应，究竟二法尽除，更无去处。
Commentary. 13. If you always answer with the opposite, both will be eliminated. Okay? So he's explaining to his disciples the logic behind it, the reasoning behind it. Okay? And so it's impressive for uneducated monk who never went to school, couldn't even read. And he can think of this logic here. He says, you use this opposite pairs here to eliminate the problem, to neutralize the problem, to neutralize the pointed questions. Yes, Blue?
Master, excuse my stupidity, but that sounds like Chinese cleverness to me.
Why are you promoting the Chinese?
I have high reverence for the Chinese, Master.
Yeah.
To me, it just sounds like their description is getting them in to explain it and getting them out of explaining it without saying a word.
No, it has nothing to do with Chinese. This applies to us. Remember, I warned you. The instructions are for us as well, for you as well. Whether It's not, let me tell you, it's not about just speaking Dharma. It's about what? What is he talking about? I started by telling you that how to conquer, how to invade, how to explain, how to overwhelm. Okay? Well, what is this about? It's not about that at all. I'm testing your hearts. Oh, you say, oh wow, Master is teaching me how to fight, how to win. No. It's about how to what? Girls, what do? How to what? To connect. How to reach out. Not finding. You guys all fell for that. Oh, Master, teach me how to win. No, it's not about winning. It's not about taking over by brute force. It's not about overwhelming. It's about connecting at a very deep level. Sounds good? Sounds better, huh? To what? To the people who don't like you, who don't believe you, who will not submit to you, who will not convert. You know what I'm talking about? We all know what I'm talking about. Who we're talking about. Mm-hmm. All right? So it's beautiful. You know, if you want to help people, he's not teaching you, not just his disciples, all of us. It's not about winning or losing. It's about being able to connect with them. If you do that, then you remember he says, both will be eliminated. You answer the opposite. You use this training here, this formula here. Both will be eliminated. Nothing will be left. What does it mean? There's no fighting. There's no distinction. They like to think they're different from us. But they're not. You know what I mean? Yes. Green.
Can you explain how this would work in practice?
I can't. I just use the opposite. See how magically the problem is gone? What? Still not gone? I thought it worked.
Yes, but I still don't understand.
Neither do I. Anyone else? Yes. White.
Ông bạn Long Quẩn lại hỏi Mã Tổ, nói thỉnh Hòa Thượng nhìn xuống, thì Hòa Thượng nhìn lên. Tức là hai cái đối đãi. Rồi còn lại hỏi Hòa Thượng nào con quên, rồi hỏi xin Hòa Thượng chỉ cho con pháp giải thoát. Hòa Thượng hỏi ai trói ông? Thì để chỉ cái nghĩa đối cho cái người đó tự suy ra.
Translation.
Master, I remember
hỏi Mã Tổ.
I don't know the English name, Bàng Long Uẩn. So
Phản layman.
Phản layman, he asked Ma Tzu, could you please look down, and then Ma Tzu look up. So he used the opposite pair. And then there's a monk that asking the master, could you please show me the Dharma door of liberation? And then the master asking, who tie you up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the opposite. That's correct. Yes, Kath.
I think that's a good teaching for Catholics to get other people into Catholicism.
I'm speechless. You always surprise me. You see, and also isn't it also the opposite? It's beautiful. It's a fun thing, isn't it? You know, you could do it at the casual level and have fun at it, but also has so much depth in there as well. You know, depends on how deep you want to go. All right? All right, next. 14, Sutra text. The three classes of Dharma doors are the heaps, the realms, and the entrances. The 5 heaps are form, feeling, perception, impulses, and consciousness.
3颗法门者，因戒入也。因是5因，色、受、想、行、识是也。
All right, 15. So the master elaborated. Okay, first bring up the 3 classes of Dharma doors. Okay, what are the 3 classes of Dharma doors? The heaps, the realms, and the entrances. Okay, so he'll elaborate. He says these everything that asked you belongs to 3 classes of Dharma doors. That's it. Can no go beyond that. Okay, either is the heaps, or the realms, or the entrances. Okay, so he's referring to the 5 heaps, the 18 realms, the 5 and the 12 entrances. 12 or 6? Okay, maybe it should be 6 instead of 12, but it might be inflation. Okay. Okay, so so the 12 here says is the 6 roots and the 6 dusts. Okay, okay, that's reasonable. That works too. The 5 heaps are form, feeling, perception, impulses, and consciousness. Okay, so perception, form, and feeling, perception is actually thinking, impulses is so activity and so forth. Any questions about this? Oh, see what he says here. Yeah. And objects of the mind. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. So the heaps or the skandhas are the Buddhist secrets that only the Buddhists know. And these are the basics of our makeup. It's never mind about the DNA, okay? The 5 heaps are actually describing us. Only the Buddha can deftly explain to us and teach us about this. Okay, and so it's a specialized Buddhist knowledge that is the foundation of what? Enlightenment. If you want to reach enlightenment, you need to go through these doors of the heaps. This is why the non-Buddhists can never get enlightened, because they cannot. They don't know about the 5 heaps. And if they do read about the 5 heaps, like some people do, okay, they can read all they want. It's all in our sutras. It's all in our scriptures. But we know what to do with the information. And this is what makes us different. First of all, the Buddha in the universe teach us about these 5 heaps everywhere. It's our world. Pure Land. If you go to the Pure Land, I assure you, Amitabha Buddha will also teach you about the 5 heaps. You wait and see. You say, I don't believe you. Oh, it's a different place. Yes, it's different. But still, it's 5 heaps. Okay? YouTube comment.
Sutran says, people come at you with their ardent, one-sided view, so our opposite view helps to nullify, to return them to the original nature which has no sides.
Sounds profound. It sounds right. I don't get what they're talking about, but it sounds good. Okay? If it works for you, I'm glad. It's not about that. This person is still fighting. It's about connecting with people at a very profound level, to the point where they come to you as your opponent. But the way you use these opposite pairs will nullify that tension. That's what he's trying to convey to you. Okay? It's not about winning. It's about to be able to be shoulder to shoulder and erase differences. That's the only way to teach people. Not by winning. It's about erasing the barriers, erasing the conflict, erasing the tension. All right? To the people that you like to teach. But some people, they're hopeless. And I'm sure you can think of someone. Okay? Don't even try. So funny, huh? Okay? Yes, Malcolm. Microphone.
Master is connecting with people, seeing that everyone's suffering. Is that a good example of connection?
Absolutely. Excellent. It depends where you are. Okay? In this how world, the best way to connect with people is when they suffer. When they are happy, that connection is very shallow. Case in point, girlfriend. Courtships. When you're having fun, very shallow connection. After you get married and you get into a fight, you know what I'm talking about. And you threaten divorce, you know what I'm talking about. And separation. Huh? And somehow you recover. Yes? That connection there is much deeper. Okay? Good point. Absolutely. This guy, where does he come from? throw darts at me like that. Very good, excellent. So I'm sorry, why? I don't know why I came out with this deep connection here, but to me, this is what the Dharma is. The Dharma is about. The Dharma is about. It's not about winning. It's not about being right. Please, it's not about being right at all. Don't say I'm Buddhist, therefore I'm right. You Catholic, therefore you're wrong. Because the Catholic likes to think like that. The Catholic says, I'm right, and you Buddhists are deviant. Okay? And Hinayana people say, I am the true Dharma, and Mahayana is inappropriate Dharma, improper Dharma. They like to think like that. We Mahayana says, there's no problem. Okay? So it's because in the mind, there's still this right and wrong, there's still distinction. Okay? So the only way to avoid the distinction is to not concentrate on the distinction, not concentrate, not focus on the winning or losing, not focus on the right and wrong, but more of the connection. It's just like you know someone, you'll be able to embrace that person for who, and accept that person for who she is. So instead of trying to prove you're right and someone else is wrong, okay, that struggle there will not end. Whereas you're able to connect, and then you're able to overcome your resistances, your conflict, the friction, then the relationship will last a lot longer. You see, so to me, this is what the Mahayana teaching is so deep. It sounds like he's talking about winning in these debates, how to convert people, but no, it's not. Mahayana is never about taking over, never about overwhelming people, not about winning. Okay? It's about to be able to establish this connection at very deep level. Ultimately, as deep as your Buddha nature. You know? Case in point. After you become enlightened, you meet with a non-enlightened person. That's when you begin to relate at a different level than fighting or distinction or winning or losing. It's just are. Does it make sense to you? Never mind. Okay. Next, 16. So the 12 entrances are the six sense objects outside, forms, sounds, smells, tastes, tangible objects, and objects of the mind.
入是12入，外6尘，色、声、香、味、触、法。
Why do you have the object of the mind? Just change it to dharmas. Forget a dharma. Fa is dharma. So why do you have to translate object of the mind? It's just unnecessary interpretations. Just use dharmas. Okay? To establish a jargon. This is important. Commentary slides. 17. The 12 entrances consists of first the six sense objects, the six dusts, or the tiresome dusts. Okay, where they are the objects external objects that are part of our environment, as how we register the environment. Okay, wherever we are. Okay, so those are the six objects, the six dusts. Okay, the opposite, the recipients are our six sense organs, meaning the sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, and so forth. Okay, 18. Sutra text. And the six sense organs within, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The 18 realms are the six sense objects, the six sense organs, and the six consciousnesses.
内六门，眼、耳、鼻、舌、身、意、是也。界是18界，六尘、六门、六识是也。
19. Oh, you're going too fast. I'm trying to slow it down to make it last. Because this is the last chapter. I hate to leave this. What I'm going to do with how the 6-page chart. Someone understands me. So the six sense organs are from within. So you have outside the six dusts and inside the six sense organs. That's why we have 12 realms. The pairs. One does not exist from the other. Okay? Thank you. Very good. See that? So he's always complete, give you a complete picture. Okay? If you talk about the sounds, then you have to say, who perceives the sound? What perceives the sound? So this cannot exist without the sense organs. 18 realms are six sense objects, six sense organs, and six consciousnesses. So the 18 realms are basically it, the whole thing, the whole gizmo, the world as we know it, which are the organs, the dust, and the consciousnesses between that connects them. So far, so good. It's so simplistic, but it's such a complete description of our world. If you only need to stick to this, and you can become enlightened. It has everything. Nothing is left out. Okay, 20. Sutra text. The self-nature is able to contain all dharmas. It is the store enveloping consciousness. If one gives rise to a thought, it turns into consciousness.
自性能含万法，名含藏识。若起思量，即是转识。
10个是 should be 是。21 commentary. The master says, let me elaborate for you. Okay, we Buddhists know that there's something called the self-nature that can contain all dharmas, meaning contains everything. The self-nature contains you, contains me, contains her, contains the pure land, the impure land, everything. The self-nature. Okay? It is a store enveloping consciousness. Okay? Meaning that it's called the containment treasury consciousness. Containment, treasury, consciousness. So that's what the technical term is for that. Okay? If you want another name for the self-nature, you're looking for another term for the self-nature, it's called the containment, treasury, consciousness. So it contains everything. It is a treasure, and because it's invaluable, it contains invaluable things, and consciousness is alive. It's not dead. Okay? And if one gives rise to a thought, it turns into a consciousness. Let me explain to you what consciousness is. Okay? The Master says, the Buddhists like to talk to you about consciousness. Let me explain to you what consciousness is. He says, you give rise to a thought. That thought becomes consciousness. It turns to consciousness. I don't know what it means, but that's what he says. How does a thought turn to consciousness? It's called wonders of the self-nature. Okay? This thought here arises in your head. That thought there becomes consciousness. That's all you need to know. Okay? It's not meant for you to understand, because you're not at a level you can understand yet. The Master simply says, when you're there, you see that the thought arises and becomes consciousness. And that's a consciousness. It becomes consciousness. Okay? 22. Yes, back there. Only one handheld microphone left.
So, Master, what happened?
Pass the donation basket around. That's the clue. Yes.
So what happened if the opposite happened, when for those people who has no thoughts anymore?
The people have no thoughts anymore?
Yeah, those who can stop their thoughts.
Who can stop the thoughts? Then no consciousness.
That means they cease to exist?
Wait. There's two different questions here. You said, if you start your thoughts, if there's no thoughts, nothing turns to consciousness. Therefore, no consciousness. QED. Okay?
But doesn't our existence depend on our consciousness?
Does it? I just answered with the opposite. You haven't even noticed that. See? If people want to give you a hard time, that's what you do. Does it? Yes. Why?
Mình phải trở lại cái căn bản đầu tiên là các thiền sư nói cái thân của mình nè, cái body của mình á, nó còn có đất nước gió lửa là 4 element, 4 element. Thì cái 4 element này nó giống như cái cây ở ngoài này cũng 4 element, nó cũng nóng, cũng lạnh, cũng thở, cái cây nó cũng thở khí vậy đó. Cái cây nó đâu biết nghe pháp, đâu có biết nghe nói pháp. Thì trước khi thầy mới nói, trước khi mình khởi thức đó, mình vẫn có cái biết. Cái đó hồi nãy quý vị tụng hôm qua quý vị tụng Đại Bi Sám đó, cái đó là cái awareness ability. Everyone have it. Before we recognize something, you still have your awareness ability. Something smell happen, you recognize it through the door of the nose. If something happen, the sound through the door, you hear from the ear. But before that, your self nature is still there. So you ask if before you have the consciousness, you dead or you not survive. Every in the compassion mantra say that, repentance say that, all awareness is all Buddha 10 direction in there, including us. We still there. Before we drive the talk, we are Buddha. All of us Buddha. Before we have a talk, before we recognize something, we have a discrimination, lie, dislike, black and white, hungry and full. Call the talk. Before you call the talk, your awareness ability is still there. Equal to all Buddha on 10 directions. Vanchajinbusa, Sakyamuna, Amitabha, the same thing. But for a moment we ignore them. We gave a talk. And then after that, we tie up until today. We reincarnation. So if you stop talking, you meditate, you talking, you stop thinking. Your awareness still there. You're not the tree, you're not the stone. You have awareness ability. That is your Buddha. Buddha you. We call Buddha nature. So a lot of... I happened to 3 days. I attend Forky in 2008. And was the chanting Amitabha, Namo Amitabha. Suddenly it stopped all the talk. Oh, our mind empty, our head is empty. Just still have the word Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha. All the talk around. Stop. I don't know why. But I'm not died yet.
Thank God for that.
So whenever tomorrow you read the compassion, repentance, pay attention to page 49, not talk about that. All of us have the Buddha nature. It means awareness ability. All of us, including the bird, including the dog, have that too. Because their karma, their body become a dog. And their karma become a bird. You karma become a white, become a black, become Asian. That's the karma, but the ability, awareness is the same. At that time, we are Buddha, equal to all Buddha. Read the page 49 tomorrow, you see that. Talk about it. And we make a mistake, we raise talk. And then talk after talk after talk. We consider it ourselves, the other self, and we fight. And reincarnation. Now the compassion mantra will untie that for us. They call it repentance with the compassion mantra. Only compassion mantra can untie us. Read in the verb page 49 tomorrow.
Amen. Any question? Does that answer your question? She's scared to ask. That's right. Give him a whole speech. Let me think about that. Okay, I'll come back tomorrow, next week. Sutra text. And the six consciousness are produced, which go out the six sense, six organs, and perceive the six sense objects.
生六识，出六门，见六尘。
Okay, this is so beautiful. Oh my God. I don't know how the genius in doing it, in talking like this, is incredible. Remember he says, thought turns into consciousness, then consciousness go from the six sense organs to the six dust. That's how we perceive the outside world. You know what it means? He's describing what's happening inside of the Catholics' minds. Can you imagine? Huh? This is what happens inside their little brains. Okay? Here's what happened. Can I describe it to you? Because you're Buddhist, you wouldn't be able to relate to this. Okay? The master basically is saying this. It's so beautiful. He says, I give an example. Okay? You hear a noise. What happens? Your mind says, what's that? Yes? What's that? What is that? That's a thought, isn't it? What's that? It's a thought. That's a thought. You turn like this, it's a mind. It rises up. What is that? Okay? So far, so good? That thought there becomes a consciousness. Isn't it beautiful? That's what happens in those Catholics' minds. We Buddhists are enlightened, so we don't have that problem. Okay? Isn't it wonderful? They are the one who are so, they say, what's that? And because of that thought there, what happened? The thought is produced, and the consciousness is born. And the consciousness departs from our sense organ. The precision is incredible. I know we're making fun of this, making light of this, but that's exactly what happens inside their minds. Okay? Think about it. That's what happens to us. What's that? And the master says, because of that thought there, what? What's that? It produces the turn into consciousness that goes, because it goes from the sense organs inside here, and it goes outside. It's automatic, in other words. He doesn't say that God created the thoughts. He says, your self-nature. Says, what? And because of that, it travels outside to that place there, okay, to the sound. And so that's why you have a connection between us inside here, okay, and the outside world. And the connection is our own thought that connects it in the forms of consciousness. Yes, Kath. How come we only have one mobile handheld microphone? Yes.
But I do have a question though. Doesn't that happen to non-Buddhists too? I mean, non-enlightened Buddhists?
It only happens to non-enlightened Buddhists. I'm glad you pointed it out. Okay, anyone else? It happened, by the way, to Christians more often than Catholics. I'd like to think. Okay? No, it's fascinating how beautiful that he describes the process inside our mind. Huh? With so much precision. This is why they can teach us chant, because they know what happens inside our minds. You see that? It's not imagination. Anyone else? Yes, Blue.
Master, didn't we first have to have a consciousness of the sound before we produce that thought? What is that?
No. This is self-nature. From a self-nature arises a thought. That's according to him. That's the precision that we're talking about. You think you have a consciousness, but no, he says, it's that thought. That thought has to arise, and then it turns to consciousness through this mechanism of a sense organ and the dust.
The sound before there was a consciousness.
That's what you say. Yes? We're talking about the unenlightened people. We're not talking about enlightened people. Yes?
The old monk was saying that, okay, you hear the sound, and then your self-nature hears that, and then you produce the thought, and then it goes to your sense objects. So if I get hit, right, and I feel it, and then he gets my brain, and my brain says, oh, it hurts, and then my body says, oh, it hurts. Is that how it would work?
I'm not the level that I'm able to understand with that precision. Okay, all I can do for you right now is explain to you what he said. When you're talking about consciousness, we're referring to confused people. You know what I mean? Okay? We're not talking about state of sages. We're not. He's only referring to, you know what I mean? Okay? When we talk about consciousness, it's for confused people. Okay, so I can't answer Master Xinqi's question either. He says, but there's a consciousness for me to be able to hear the sound. Maybe, maybe not. Okay? There's something called a knowing nature. That knowing nature, you call it consciousness? I don't know. He didn't explain this. But at this stage here, his section here, ladies and gentlemen, he's referring to us. What happens to us. I only can describe to you what happens to us. You hear a sound, remember? Immediately our mind says, what's that? Right? And that's how the consciousness arises. That's all he's saying. If you want to know more than that, I don't know. I can't explain to you. I don't dare venture into that realm where I have no clues. All I can do for you is to elaborate for you what he's trying to teach us here. This is important. Why is it important? Because unless you understand how you get confused and what adds to your confusion, you will not be able to become enlightened. He's not teaching about the state of enlightened people. He's not. He's talking about us, unenlightened people. Okay? That's what happens to us. You don't even know that? Then how are you going to overcome your state of confusion? Yes, Blue.
Master, so when a four-state arhat enters samadhi, no thought samadhi, do they still register the seed as if they listen to your lecture? Do they still register, or when the thoughts stop, then the seed won't register?
It's a fourth stage arhat. How would I know? Next. Black.
It sounds like, is this the definition of an outflow?
Yes. Go forth. Quickly, we have to do a rebirth transference.
Emituofo, that means the sound outside, we cannot stop it, but we can register. But as long as we don't want to know, then we're not too bad.
You don't want to know?
You don't have the the thought that what's that? Like you register and stop there.
Go back to engineering school. Terrible engineer. Yes, Blue.
They cannot listen. Can they register to the ear? This is through the ear, though.
I'm not
According to
deaf,
what
so
he
I
said.
can't answer your question. Okay? Remember, I'm not enlightened. I only can stick to you, trying to elaborate for you what the master is explaining to you for a reason, that's all. It's not meant for you to say, what happened to deaf people? What happened to say, maybe when I become deaf, a few more years, I can't hear anymore, which is beginning to happen already. That to the point where I need translation frequently. Okay, so when it happens, then then I can relate to that. All I can relate to you right now is for you normal people, the reason that you're confused, the reason that you are suffering is because of this process inside of you. That's all he's saying. Okay, and this is why he sent his disciples out to teach his people. Okay, to tell them about all this privileged information which will help them overcome their confusion. Yes, by number one. Now that we're back to normal, we probably need a bigger amplifier so we can get more handheld microphones. They're coming back, Now they vaccinated and yes.
Mô Phật bạch thầy, cái âm thanh đó, cái Phật tánh mình đó, có nghe được cái âm thanh không thầy?
Master, does our Buddha nature can hear the sound?
Wait, I'm asking my Buddha nature. Still no answer. Yes, Blue.
I have a question. It just occurred to me. Is it not true that Catholics can also become enlightened and some Catholics can?
I'm having a headache. Yes, White.
Tôi có cái ý kiến này nè, cái ngũ tổ đó hỏi các đệ tử là đứa nào thấy tâm thì ta trao y bát cho. Đứa nào thấy cái tâm Buddha nature của mày ta trao y bát cho tụi bay. Thì cô nhẫn dịch đi.
The fifth patriarch, he told the disciple, whoever among you can see the Buddha nature, I will give you the rope and bow, the bow and rope.
Thì ngài Thần Tú nói là cái thân như cái cây bồ đề vậy đó. Cái thân mình là như cây bồ đề á.
And Shanxiu say your body is like the Bodhi.
Cái tâm mình nó như cái mirror, như cái gương.
Your mind is like a mirror.
Phải thường lau chùi cái gương ngoài đừng để bụi phiền não nó dính vô.
Therefore, you have to clean it constantly. Do not let the dust of affliction stick to it.
Thì mọi người nói là ngài Thần Tú quá hay, thế nào cũng đoạt y bát, tại vì quá giỏi, cái bài thơ quá hay rồi.
Everybody read that poem and say, "Oh, Shanxiu is so good. He definitely will receive the bow and rope."
Thì ngài Huệ Năng mới nghe, mới nói tôi cũng có bài thơ nữa, là viết giùm tôi không biết chữ, viết giùm lên đi.
And Master Huệ Năng said, I also have a poem. Anybody can help me write it down?
Thì ngài mới làm bài thơ là bồ đề chẳng phải cây.
And then his poem say the Bodhi is not a tree.
Gương sáng chẳng phải đài.
The mirror is not the what do you call
Cái
đài?
đài hoa đó. Cái
The day.
Rồi xưa nay không một vật.
Originally there's no things.
Bụi trần bám ở đâu?
Where can the dust stick to?
Thì cuối cùng thì mọi người nhận ra là cái bài thơ của Ngài Huệ Năng cao hơn của thầy Thường Tú, là tại vì ông thấy rõ hơn.
Aware, they say that Master Huệ Nang's poem is higher level than Shen Xiu because he can see it clearer.
Cái xưa nay không một vật là nãy tôi nói cái gì là cái our ability, awareness ability đó. Cái biết của mình bây giờ quý vị thử là dễ lắm. Một lát hay là bây giờ ngồi đây.
Say that originally there's no object, is your awareness ability.
Bây giờ quý vị đang ngồi đây phải không? Bây giờ mình để ý trong cái đầu mình đó, mình chưa có nghĩ gì hết trơn á. Mình vẫn còn ngồi tĩnh ở đây, vẫn thở vậy đó, nhưng mà mình không có khởi cái gì lên hết đó. Thì ngay lúc bây giờ cái đó là cái Phật tánh của gì chứ đâu nữa.
So you are sitting here and then your mind does not give rise to any thought, and then right there that is your Buddha nature.
Stop.
Thầy nói ngừng lại.
Lúc mình khi mà mình chưa có nghĩ thôi, chứ còn không phải là lúc đó là mình cái đầu mình lúc đó mình còn tỉnh á. Dạ.
Please. You don't go any further. That's the wrong way to answer questions. Okay. You're not helping. You cannot teach people like that. I explain to you later. Okay. We stop here today. Thank you. Rebirth Transference.